Hey, Chicken here with another Should You Summon vid. Should you summon for NESSA and DREDNAW? This Galarian Sync pair is coming out to Pokemon Masters soon. And there is another Galarian Sync pair coming out, but that will be in another video. So, you probably clicked on this video wondering, should I pull for this upcoming Sync pair? Now, mind you, NESSA is not going to be under as a Pokefair Scout to pull for. It's just going to be a regular Scout, so that just keep that in mind as you're thinking about whether to pull for NESSA and DREDNOW. Now, I would give you a straight answer, right? I would, but I want to take a look into the stats, moves, and skills that DREDNOW owns in this Sync Grid helper, as you can see in front of you. So what I'm going to show you today are the stats that DREDNOW has, the passive skills owned by the Sync pair, and the potential it has to have a grid use enough for them to be even more fun for a Pokemon pair used in battles. So we're going to take a look at the Sync Grid as well, and decide if this Sync pair is one to pull for, and I'll even have my own input on how I'm going to be pulling, or whether I'm going to be going all out or not. So let's go into the stats and move skills. Also, trainers, let me know in the comment section after you listen to whether you're going to be pulling or not. Are you going to be pulling for NESSA and DREDNOW, or are you going to be saving your gems for them? So here we go. We have the stats for DREDNOW here. We have the HP as 663, the base attack as 303, defense 200, special attack 189, special defense 149, and speed 191. The moves that DREDNOW own are Razor Shell, which has a base power of 123. It has a good chance of lowering the target's defense. Accuracy is 95. So that's a move gauge of 3 bars. Jaw Lock, which is another move gauge of 3 bars, has a base power of 168. It applies the restraint effect to the target and the user. So this is the second Pokemon next to Decidueye that applies the restraint effect. This accuracy is 100. We have another move called Rock Tomb. This is a move gauge bar of 2. It has a base attack power of 46 and lowers the target speed with the accuracy of 95. And lastly, the trainer move that NESSA is able to use is called Wash 'em Away. It sharply raises the user's attack, raises the user's critical hit rate, in addition, drastically raising the user's speed when the weather is rainy. Alright, so we have the Sync move, Flood the Stadium Liquidation, which has the base power of 240. Now here are the really cool passive skills that this Sync pair owns. Let's start with Restrained power up 5. And just from the words restrained, you need to use Jaw Lock, right? So using Jaw Lock, you'll end up having to power up moves when the user is restrained. So you can already see that Restrained power up 5 works well for the Sync pair, and even a Pokemon next to DREDNOW, Decidueye, has the ability to even put Pokemon in shackles with that move, right, to restrain them. And I could see both of these pairs doing really well together. So both Decidueye and DREDNOW to restrain the Pokemon. We have a familiar passive skill called Ripple Effect 9. So that allows, when a move is used by the Pokemon, it lowers an opponent's stat, lowers the same stat for all the opposing Sync pairs. So using Rock Tomb or using Razor Shell, right? Not only will the target's defense, but all of the targets, so meaning the rest of the opponent's Sync pairs, will have their stats reduced, not just a single target. And lastly, Restrained Free B3, which is a really cool passive. Listen to this. It has a moderately good chance of applying the free move next effect. Seems like we've been getting a lot of free move next effect lately, right from Zekrom. We have it from Raihan and Duraludon, and now here we have the restrained freebie 3, which is an effect to the user when an attack move is successful. So this increases that chance of, while the user is restrained, right? So that's the catch. We have to use jaw lock, right, in order for this restrained freebie to work. And once the user is restrained with jaw lock, right, this increases the chance of the following moves to be a freebie. So the moves more than likely will not use their move gauge use their move gauge over time. So it's a sweet thing with NESSA and DREDNAW, because NESSA and DREDNAW have moves, 3 different moves. Specifically, I guess you can say Razor Shell and Rock Tomb are the specific moves that you want to use after jaw lock. So 2 moves that will damage the opponents. But jaw lock itself is a 3 gauge move, so 3 moves in total. But more than likely after jaw lock, you're gonna probably use a Rock Tomb or Razor Shell over time. So this sync pair has its moments and has its fun way of reducing stats and being an annoyance to the opponent's sync pairs. Now, let's take a look at the sync grid, right? So, if you are going for a 2 out of 5, right? So, with 1 copy, this is all that you're going to get, right? So, you're only going to get, and Wash Them Away MP Refresh 3. You're only going to end up getting a Rock Tomb Move Gauge Refresh 3, right? That's notably important for replenishing move gauge for NESSA and DREDNAW, and the rest are more for powering up the user's stats and moves. But notably speaking, if we were to go to, let's say, getting 2 copies of NESSA and DREDNAW, you start to see that we also have jaw lock, move gauge refresh 2, right? Another move gauge, just allow having that chance to charge the move gauge by 1 when using jaw lock. We do have Razor Shell, move gauge refresh 2. So these 2 are unlocked from the left and right side of the grid routes. And we have Vigilance, which the Pokemon is protected against critical hits. So that's going to be really sweet, especially because you don't want to get be hit with a crit by the opponent, right? We have Racing Rain 3 for for you traders who love to use Rain Dance and have it rain to ink, and it will definitely help, especially because it would Wash Them Away would increase the speed of Dreadnought, right? And this Racing Rain 3 will quickly charge the move gauge when the weather is rainy. Cakewalk here would mean the more the target speed is lowered, the more it powers up sync moves. So Rock Tomb will be of use with Cakewalk, and this would be a focus for Dreadnought to use its sync move, right? And lastly, going for 3 copies, okay? 3 copies of NESSA and DREDNAW, we have the best parts of this sync pair, as most sync pairs do with 3 out of 5. We have Hold Hostage, right? Hold Hostage 2, which powers up moves when the target is restrained. So Jaw Lock and your moves are powerful. We have Restrained Recovery 1, which is also important with Jaw Lock. Restores the Pokemon's HP whenever it takes an action while it is restrained. So that's going to be quite useful, just like the Shock Recovery from Luxray, right? This Pokemon, once using the Jaw Lock, will have its HP recover over time when an action is used, okay? Next, on the top right, we have notably a Razor Shell, Critical Focus 1, right, which raises the user's critical hit rate when the user lands a critical hit. We also have, which we already done. We also have Relentless. We haven't done this. The more the target's defense has been lowered, the more this powers up sync moves. So Relentless will be having that effect using the Razor Shell move, right, which has a good chance of lowering the target's defense. Both this tile would be very useful to have with Razor Shell, and it would stack up in terms of power. And finally, the bottom two routes of the grid, going from the Racing Rain, since we did that. There's going to be Raging Rain 3, powers up moves when the weather's rainy, and powers up sync moves when the weather's rainy. So Dreadnought will be quite useful in the rain, and this would be also a great pair with even main Swampert, which I'll bring up again because I want you guys to think about whether to pull or not for Dreadnought. But I could see both Pokemon working well together. We have the sync nodes unlocked from the top and bottom, and finally towards the bottom left we have Hunter's Instinct. Okay, so the more the target speed is lowered, the more powers up moves. Hunter's Instinct is similar to Getsis and Kyurem as their natural passive skill. So the more the target speed is lowered, the more powers up moves. So that's quite useful with Rock Tomb, and this can be paired well with Getsis and Kyurem, with again both of them having Hunter's Instinct. But this would have to be a copy or sync move level 3. So now let's talk about whether you should pull for Nessa and Dreadnought, right? So I'll share my input, and I want you guys to share about what you think about this sync pair and what you think you should do when it comes to your gems. So your gems, right? Some of you have been saving your gems for a while now, and because of the Raihan Rally and all these stacked events, the mission from Azelf, right, from the legendary arena, and all the gems that you've been saving up, it is super tempting and super I guess, yeah, no, super tempting really to pull for this sync pair, and even the other sync pair, which I will have in the next video, which is Surfetched, right, and B. But should you pull for Nessa and Dreadnought? If you're feeling lucky and you want to at least get one, I'd say go for it. If you have enough gems, go for this sync pair for something new. But here's the thing: do you own May and Swampert? May and Mudkip, right? May and Mudkip are already powerful. They're already powerful sync pair, and I even EX'd them. They do really well because of their Muddy Water, and I have three plus copies already of Swampert, and I'd say they're much more powerful compared to Nessa and Dreadnought, because you have the AoE, you have the Rain Dance, and you have the passive skills and even the grid skills that work well for main Swampert. So if you're thinking about whether to pull as a free-to-play for Nessa, I'd say save it, because Nessa and Dreadnought will most likely be in the regular pools in the future. However, if you want to, if you really like the sync pair, and some of you really do, I'd say give it a shot do a couple of pulls, maybe do one multi, and if you don't get it, you don't get it, right? It will eventually most likely be in the pool in the future. This is not a Poke Fair, so this is most likely going to be a 2% chance of pulling this, just like just like a lot of the sync pairs. But even then, this for those of you who want to pull for other 5 stars, Poke Fairs are the place to go for new sync pairs, and this sync pair specifically, isn't going to be a Poke Fair. Now, I'll be pulling for at least one or maybe two, but one or two copies of NESSA and DREDNAW. So stay tuned for that summons video, you guys. And with that being said, let me know in the comments section, once again, trainers, if you're pulling for this sync pair. All right? And I want you to share if you have any questions, share your thoughts, and let me know what you think about NESSA and DREDNOW. And once again, trainers, if you enjoy these types of videos and would like to see more Pokemon Masters content, be sure to check the channel and check my pulls, check my gameplays, even some free-to-play videos that would definitely help you and let you think about the current events. And trainers, stay tuned for Should You Summon for B and Sirfetch'd. Alright, trainers, I'll see you next time in the next video.